Good morning and welcome to this week's Reset for Life moment. Question for you. How many of you like swimming? Raise your hand. Come on, I see you. I like swimming, but I find that the hardest part of swimming is getting into the water. It's shocking, it's transforming, but once I'm in, it's great and it's usually pretty refreshing. Ezekiel 47 verses 3 to 5 paints a picture of the river of God. You know, the Bible often uses imagery to get across a spiritual point, and that's really what's happening here. It's a prophetic picture that speaks of the life that the presence of God, which is symbolized here by the river of God, brings to anything that is unhealthy and dying, much the same as a healthy river brings life to everything on its shores. Ezekiel paints a very interesting picture. He talks about being led to the river, and after walking 1,750 feet down the shore, he was led across it in water that was ankle deep. Then he's led another 1,750 feet downstream, and again he's led across it, but this time the water is knee deep. After being led yet another 1,750 feet downriver, he's again led across the river, and now the water is waist deep, and finally after another 1,750 feet, he's led into the water that is so deep that his feet cannot touch. It's deep enough to swim in, but it's too deep to walk across. Well, there are other theological ramifications to this passage. I got to thinking about those stages of depth in the water and how they're a lot like our spiritual journeys. Some people are only ankle deep in their relationship with God. They're the toe dippers, the tire kickers. They are the people who are merely checking out the idea of God. They have just enough of their bodies into the water to check the temperature, but they have absolutely no commitment to going into the water at all. And if something happened that they didn't like, they're only a half a step away from running out of the water and being out of it completely. They might attend church once in a while. They might casually read an article or two about God over the course of a year. They might read a few verses of the Bible. But let's be honest, there's really no relationship with God with these people. Though every journey into the water starts ankle deep, these people are perfectly content to stay close to shore. Secondly, some people are knee-deep in their relationship with God. These people really like this depth because the water is refreshing and they can feel the flow of the current on their legs. But let's be honest, they're not really in this swimming club now, are they? These people are a little more familiar with God. They really like the benefits that God brings to their lives, and they might even be semi-regular church attenders and Bible readers. It's obvious that they are a little more engaged with God than the previous group, but God really hasn't changed their lives that much. They're content to stand on the sidelines and shout out encouragement to other people who are deeper, but they are not willing to go deeper themselves in their relationship with God. Thirdly, there are people who are waist deep in their relationship with God. Their feet are still firmly planted on the ground, but they are still in control and they are definitely more affected by the current. In fact, they're half in and half out of the water. While it may seem that this is a great position to be in our relationship with God, because we're so much more into the river and into His presence than the previous two, it's actually a very dangerous position to be in because it involves the greatest level of compromise. These people are in the water enough to be good and wet, so it looks like they're doing it right, their relationship with God right, but they're also out of the water enough to still be in control. They are like the church of Laodicea in Revelation chapter 3 verse 14. They are neither hot or cold. They are lukewarm in their relationship with God. And then of course, lastly, some people are in the water that is so deep that they can no longer touch bottom. This is the depth that God is calling each one of us to. This is the depth where we can no longer control the current. Now, sure, you can still swim against the current if you want to and do your own thing, but you're only going to be able to do that for so long. Then you have a choice. Either you put on a life jacket and you go with the flow, or you go back to the point where you're in control again. Of course, my suggestion is to put on the spiritual life jacket of submission to God and go with the flow of being led by the Spirit of God. Be the person who is wholly and totally committed to God, who refuses to control their own lives, but instead be that person that Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6 talks about when it says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. Seek His will in all that you do, and He will show you the path to take." You know, it's really an issue of control versus trust. Think of it this way. The more that we control, the less we see and experience. So as long as I'm standing on shore in ankle, knee, or even waist-high water, my vision is limited to what I can see around me. However, if I choose to be Spirit-led and jump into the river, I can go wherever the river goes and I can see and experience so many more things. The adventure is greater. The thrill is real. My life is so much more fresh because I've decided to trust God and let Him take me where He wants to take me. The life of a Christian can be an exciting adventure, or it can be complete drudgery. It really depends on how far into the river of God you want to go. That's my Reset for Life word for today. God bless.